Good evening, Razorback fans. Welcome into a Thursday edition of the Hawg Talk podcast, brought to you by Vision Exteriors. If you see one person on the screen tonight, I'm riding solo. Adam is out with an illness. Was going to just roll Monday, but we have a lot to talk about, a lot to cover, a lot of big news happening over the week. So I decided to come on solo, catch everybody up on our thoughts and views on everything going on with the tennis program in limbo. Update on that. Softball dropping the game today to Alabama in the SEC tournament, where their fate lies in the NCAA, if they're a lock for the super regionals coming up. Arkansas having their baseball series this weekend, and what can they possibly do? Or is it even a possibility to secure a super regional spot, or are they just hoping to get into a host or regional? Then we'll also talk about the college football playoff / March Madness expansion. I grouped them in together because I know it's not set in stone about the college football playoff, but we know March Madness is moving to 76 teams. Coach Cal had some thoughts on that. Going to touch on that and then talk about some news about me getting back into the high school ranks. I'll bring up that at the very end of the show, but we'll jump right into it. This has been going on for a couple of weeks, and I know this is a big surprise to people, the casual fans saying, with the tennis program and them dropping it. But guys, you really have to look at it as this just shows you the fandom of Razorback sports. This shows you that, yes, I would go ahead and say it, 85-90% of the fans are going to sit there and say, it's just the tennis program. And I've even seen people coming at other, like John Neighbors, Best of Arkansas Sports, people who have covered this and really put thought and effort into, really speaking up about this tennis program. And to y'all, yes, it's just a tennis program. Have you ever been to a tennis match? To me, yes, I have. To me, yes, I've had the women's coach on. We've had him on the podcast. We've talked about it. But to me, that's not the importance of it. It's the fact that, one, people are willing to stand up and fight against it. If this fan base is this passionate over the tennis program, and when you raise $5 million in 72 hours to show your stance and your support for that tennis program, that doesn't generate anything. And I know a lot of people say, well, there's a lot of teams in the SEC. There's a lot of teams in the nation that does not sell tickets to get into the tennis programs. But also, how many of these tennis players pay full tuition to go to the school at the University of Arkansas? And that's what me and Matt Brown talked about last week when we were talking about this. And honestly, I thought this would die away. But to see that they raised $5 million in 72 hours, and the fact that this is a possibility that they could revive it. There was supposed to be a meeting tomorrow. That has been pushed to Monday. Now, I don't know exactly what to think of that. We could sit on here and I could be petty, and I voiced my pettiness about how I think it's crazy that the tennis supporters can raise more money than Hunter Yurachek can. And I'm sorry. That's just how I feel about it. A part of it is being pettiness, but a part of it is we have to be aware of where we are. And Brandon Marcello had put a tweet out and said, okay, even if they do save the program, it's going to be hard to sustain this. Maybe so. But you know what? It's the fact that when I really thought about it today, if you're an SEC program and you can't fund a tennis program and you have to let that go, what does that say about you as an athletic director? What does that say about you and let's just go beyond. If we're not going to put all the blame on Hunter Yurachek, let's go to the whole Razorback Foundation. Let's go to everybody who has to be in charge of raising funds at the University of Arkansas. Let's just talk about the whole program, because I know everybody's tired of, us beating the dead horse with Hunter Yurachek. So let's just call out the whole fundraising department. to say that a group of people, without being asked their opinion, they didn't get a chance to even talk about saving their program, they just got cut. So what does that say if in 72 hours they raised $5 million? I was in sales for 3 years. And you got to say, if you put me in a sales position where I had no competition, there was nobody, there's no big time Division I program in the state of Arkansas. And you have all the resources that you have. And we don't have to just talk about the Walmarts and the Tysons and the Hunts. We can talk about ArcBest. We could talk about Jones Trucking. We can talk about Stevens. We can talk about Murphy. We could talk about all the things, Banco ZK. We can talk about the smaller ones that could give $1 million, $2 million a year. That can step up to the plate. You have no competition and you can't get it done. That says a lot about the athletic department. And if it's true that you just didn't want to fund the tennis program no more, okay, cool. But essentially, you traded Nick Pringle for the tennis program. You traded a guy, and this, I'm just using him example because reports were that he was the top paid player on the team. And we know what the market is for top players. So we're just baselining it off of $2 million, $3 million. So is cutting a whole athletic program worth a bench player or taking a gamble on a guy who let's just go 120 or 105 roster on a football team? Is the tennis program worth your 70th best player on the football team? Or is it worth the 10th best guy on your basketball team? But if you're in an area where you don't have any competition, it should be easy. Should be shooting fish in a barrel, but it's not. But that's where I put the blame on Hunter Yurchek, because he was against NIL. You were the first to do a collective. You're on your third wife. I say third wife now. You're on your third collective right now. How much money did you have to pay Edge? How much money did you have to pay whichever Blueprint or whatever that came in and left you? I mean, one night stand, if you want to call them, one night stand collective. They were here and gone. I think Dana Altman was here longer than freaking Blueprint, whatever it was. So how much did you have to pay them? How much did you have to pay the kid that Nico? How much did you have to pay him to essentially go to UCLA? And that was $100,000 or $200,000 right there. So there's a lot of things you could be doing as a program that you could have saved all this. One, I mean, honestly, let's just start at the top. You could put together a winning football program. Well, you yourself as the athletic director admitted that you didn't set your head coach up for success. That's on you. You think you're flexing by bringing in Ryan Silverfield and saying, well, we didn't set up Sam Pittman for success. We didn't give him the funds, but we're going to do it with Ryan Silverfield. Well, that is yet to be seen. And if you're going to go that route with it, that's yet to be seen. There's been a lot of talk of also, we still have yet to see anything about the naming rights. I keep bringing it up, but it's because it's been 2 years. It's been 24. You're supposed to have naming rights. Where are they at? But it's the frustration because we're seeing all these things get cut, but we're seeing more and more money come in. And as this show goes on and we talk about expansion of college football playoff, we're talking about expansion of March Madness. We're talking about Duke and getting deals with Amazon. You as a program, and every program in the SEC gets millions and millions of dollars just for your TV rights from the SEC. And you can't keep a $2.5 million tennis program. That's ridiculous. If you want to say you're in the SEC, you want to say it's SEC, it means more. There should be no program in the SEC. There should be no Power 4 program that should be cutting programs. Meanwhile, you're paying your quarterbacks $4 and $5 million. I'm sorry. You knew this was coming. You knew this was, and you know what? You're accepting the big time TV money. Learn how to budget better. Plain and simple. Learn how to budget better. Learn how to do more with your money. Just go into the comments right now. Transplant Texan, fans don't trust the athletic department properly and effectively to use their donations. I absolutely agree, because we'll bring up the raffle again. We always make fun of the raffle. Well, half of it goes to the Razorback Foundation, half of it goes to the fan. Well, we pointed out in the first of it that how ironically, how choice people were winning this raffle. You don't have to disclose the name, you're disclosing the number, and it goes to a certain, but where is that money that is going to the Razorback Foundation? What is that going to? If you would have said half of this is going to NIL and half of this is going to, I'm guarantee you, if the fans knew this was going to the NIL, you would have more people give to it. Absolutely. Guarantee it would. Then, you're going in back with this tennis program, and it's funny that you think you could pick on, and let's just say pick on and bully this little tennis program. Nobody's going to care about the tennis program. Nobody's going to bat an eye. But when you have the track record of Hunter Yurchek and tone deaf as he is, I'm proud of everybody who stepped up. I'm proud of everybody who's covered it. I'm proud of every single person, whether you gave $1 or $1 million to keep the tennis program, even if it does happen. It shows you care. It shows you care about the state of Arkansas. But that's where we are in the state of Arkansas. We are a proud state. And I know I hate to give the man credit for saying that, but that is one of the truest things you could say that Sam Pittman said about Arkansas. We are a proud damn state. Anybody that comes to Arkansas, the guy that come overseas, the influencer, I can't remember if it was Josh or Jace, the kid from across the pond came and went to a Razorback game and was in Arkansas. They flocked to him and they showed him so much hospitality. That's what the state of Arkansas is, showing hospitality. And I do hate that people come on and are negative about, well, it's just a tennis programmer. Have you been to one? I mean, you're sitting here throwing stones at people for bringing it attention and talking about it. Meanwhile, you're griping about it, but what have you done? So the hypocrisy on that, you've got to just keep that tongue in cheek. You can't say anything about that. So we'll see what happens. I am very interested in seeing what happens with this, if it goes anywhere. I will be highly disappointed, but not shocked if it doesn't go through. I wouldn't be shocked if he just like, whatever. But that will just show his character. That will show who he is, the fact that people are willing to step up, and he's petty enough to be like, oh, we'll do it on our own. We don't need the tennis program. So don't give the money up until you know it's going all of the tennis program. I'm agreeant with that. But the fact that you have people willing to step up speaks volumes of, you didn't give us a chance. This is what we're going to do. And I guarantee you they're going to give it to, if it goes through, they're not going to hand the money over and then say, hey, Hunter, what's your opinion on it? Can we please keep our tennis program? And right here, it's not about us, the fans. It's about the student athletes and what they get from the program. In what aspect? I'm genuinely confused about what you're talking about. Explain more on that, and I'll talk about it. Then transplanted Texan Matt Brown's interview pointed out how little the U of A tennis program made compared to Mississippi State, who spends, well, and to be honest, let's just not pile on for the sake of piling on. It's almost like when I was talking about, they say, well, they don't generate a lot of revenue, but yet if you have 10, 15 kids that are paying full tuition, you're bringing in revenue. They just don't talk about it. And they can always switch and move funds around. They could be like, okay, we're going to give every program $2 million. We know we're not going to use the $2 million for tennis, so we're going to say that is there, but yet we're actually going to move it over to another program. I mean, we all know how to move things around when it comes to the books. Okay. So they get an education. They play a sport that they love. Oh, okay. All right. I get where you're coming from that. I get that, Nathan. But I have been steadfast on, as soon as the NCAA made this a business, they should get paid. You can't tell me that Arkansas bringing in 70, $80 million a year just for TV rights alone, and we can't give these players money. Now, do I think that this whole thing with the money and everything's getting out of hand? Absolutely. But if you, Nathan, were saying, hey, I'm going to give you $4 million, you're not going to hand that $4 million back and be like, no, I know I'm not worth it. You're going to take it. I mean, that's just, it's almost like a baseball card or anything, stock value. It's always as much value as somebody is willing to pay for it. And you see these bigs, and we'll get back into this when we talk about the basketball program. They're going to be bigs that are making $5-6 million a year that are going to go out and not even average a double-double. But we're seeing with the landscape of college basketball and what it takes to win a national championship, it takes bigs. So they're going to invest in bigs. And I think you're going to hear some thoughts from me on that on down in the episode where I will not cowl on this, because in a sense, I think he's being a little selfish on it just because his style of recruiting and the players that he gets. And we'll discuss that here in a minute. But all in all, with how everything is going with the state of the program, it starts with this football program. It starts with the football program. And if you want to talk about generating revenue, that's where, again, I will put it on Hunter, your check, is because if you're failing at the one sport that all you had to deal with was football, you've had to do this for 3 years now. You knew Dave Van Horn had everything rolling with the baseball program. Now there's talks of you hanging him out to dry, where now he's going to have to go get his own John Tyson. He's going to have to go get more NIL money. We see where Cal's set, but it's going to get to the point to where one John Tyson ain't big enough for the basketball program. You're going to need two. Where does that leave you with the football program? You're the first to sign a collective. You could have took this and ran with it, but you were against NIL. Now everything's starting to catch up to you. Now you're going to start cutting programs without talking to somebody. So that'd be like, hey, Hunter, we're going to take 25% of your salary away. We're not going to talk to you about it. We're just going to do it. I bet you would fight for it then. I bet if they come to you and said, Hunter, you're giving up 20% of your salary, or in order for the tennis program to come back, I bet you would fight tooth and nail to get that tennis program back. But all of us would. I'm not saying that just a single, any man would, if it come down to our money or that. But I've said it. I've said that we need a new athletic director, but because there's so many examples of why you have not done your job correctly, that we need fresh blood. We need fresh something coming in here to generate money, because we're in a different world. You see, again, I mentioned it many times behind me, Clemson University, my coach, Dabo, loved him, but he's not with the NIL game. His ego got too big. He thinks he can do it on his own, and you see where they're at as a program. I don't rock with that. I get heat from my own fan base that they're saying, well, look what he's done with us in 2 national championships. Well, if you want to advance in the new world, you've got to be with the new times. If you're not going to be with the new times, you're going to be sitting on the sidelines like Nick Saban, complaining about what it is when you were the one making millions and millions and millions of dollars off kids that weren't getting paid. And that's why I have the biggest problem with people like Dabo, Jimbo, Nick Saban. You're making $10 to $12 million a year while your players weren't getting nothing, supposedly. I mean, I know there was, but you know where I'm going with it. And you're sitting there all high and mighty, but as soon as players start getting paid, you run off. You and your wife publicly say, well, they don't need us no more. We're going to bounce. I lost a lot of respect for him for that. He's the greatest coach of all time in the college ranks, but I lost a lot of respect for him because of how he ran off. And now he's going to sit there high on his horse against it just because it ain't his way. And I'll just pivot right into the basketball. That's where I knock Coach Cal. Coach Cal has done amazing for Arkansas. Don't want him to leave Arkansas. He's done amazing things for the University of Arkansas, and I love where this program's going. I love the talent that he's getting in. Do I think if Billy Richmond and Malik Thomas come back, they have a chance to win it all? Absolutely. But to me, I think Coach Cal is against this expansion. He's against this whole thing because he doesn't want the older kids. The programs that are beating him are getting older kids. They're getting the bigs. They're getting the men. Totally a complete 180 of what his recruiting style is. If his recruiting style was go get bigs and go get 25, 26, 27-year-olds, and he was playing the game and still was like, man, this just ain't working, I could hold a little weight to it. But when you're on the other end of the spectrum of it, you want the freshmen, you want the McDonald's All-Americans, and you want to come in and go guard heavy and try to win a national championship with that. And you're mad about the UConns and the Dukes and the Houstons and let's go Gonzagas or any other program that is going big heavy. They're going Arizona. I mean, just you've seen how they outmanned Arkansas. So if you can't beat them, you can't complain about how they're doing it. That's just my feelings on it. So he's got a big voice. He has a very popular voice, and he's going to politic. He's doing his job. I mean, that's just because I disagree with what he's saying, I can't sit there and then not respect how he's doing it. He's using his platform to speak how he feels about it and try to get things to change to where he can be more successful. Any coach would do that. But I just disagree with how that's going. Furthermore, let's just go to, we're talking about college football playoffs and March Madness expansion. Guys, this is where we're heading. You remember back, I don't remember how long ago it was when everybody was screaming for minimum wage to be raised up. They wanted $17, $18 an hour at their McDonald's. They wanted $17 an hour at their local Walmart, and they got it. But what did you see? What was the fallback from that? What do we see at every Walmart now? What do we see at every fast food spot that we go into now? What do we see at any kind of, we're even seeing at gas stations now, self-checkout. We're seeing kiosks. Now, I know COVID had a little bit to do with that because of the no contact, but guess what? They can put up a machine that now you order your own food, you check out your own groceries, you do all this stuff now, and how many people does that take the place of? Well, I mean, everybody wanted $17 an hour, but the backdraw is now we're going to cut the workforce because we found a way to put this, and that's how people with money think. How can we get more money? This set us back $10 million, but how can we recoup that and then make, in the end, they're going to win. That's what's happening with college football playoff expansion and March Madness expansion. We're seeing teams like Duke strike deals with Amazon. We're not talking about, look, no disrespect to Wright's Barbecue. No disrespect at all to Wright's Barbecue. We're not seeing Wright's Barbecue give the offensive line money anymore. We are seeing Amazon. We're seeing Call Sheet. We are seeing all these big corporations and these freaking private equity groups. Now they've found a way to funnel their money into these corporations. And that's why I get so frustrated with the University of Arkansas is you have these corporations in your backyard. You have a way to figure this out. You have a freaking business school on site. If you can't tell me you don't have some people on there that can't put their minds together to figure out how you can't make NIL work at the University of Arkansas and how you can't figure out a way where every program on campus cannot somehow get enough money to where you're providing some of these players with money and these programs, that's on y'all. Y'all have a whole business department up there. That's what's frustrating about it is you have so many people up there and so many resources in this state. It really baffles me of why Arkansas is at the lower tier of the SEC, not in the country. You're in the lower tier of your own conference when it comes to fundraising and money and getting ahead of this, because that means that you're lazy and you don't want to do it. And that's just the gist of it right there. But we're going to see more of this because we're seeing how can now, if we're having to give all these players $6 million a year, we're seeing bigs go for $5-6 million. We're seeing college basketball rosters now go what we thought was big time with, you remember when Cal come out and said, oh my God, we got $6 million for a basketball roster. That ain't nothing now. That's already passed you by. Now it's 20, 30, 40 million for a basketball roster. We're praising that for a football roster. Ohio State in the very first year was bragging about a $22 million roster for their football team. Kentucky won up that and went $20 million for their basketball roster. And it's going to get to that point where you're going to need a private equity. You're going to need that. Now, again, am I in total agreement with it? Maybe not. But that's just the way it's going to be until everything resides. And until they realize that the return of interest, unless they start making big mega bucks on these TV deals where you're streaming every game on Amazon or Paramount or Hulu, that's where you're going to have to either get on the bus or you're going to be behind. So now the biggest problem I have with the March Madness is how they're doing it. You are essentially making a 76 team bracket, but yet how many teams are even in the initial bracket? You have it now. I'm looking at the bracket right now at large. You have 6 games opening round. 6 games opening round. And just to get into the main bracket. That is insane, because how is that a tournament? Now, if you wanted to include this in there, I get that part. Share the screen real quick and you'll see what I'm talking about. So this is the suggested bracket. So right here, if you have the bracket and you have this, then you have up top your at-large games, your buy-in games. So in essence, it's still not part of it. All those games up top still don't go on your pool games. They don't go against your final bracket. So I don't understand, unless this is a test trial and then we're just going to do away with it, but it's still a consolation tournament to get into the tournament. And that's where I'm against it. I'm for the 76. If you want to include them all together in the bracket, and let's roll with it. Like let's just go out with the college football expansion. If they move to 24 teams, they're going to make it to where the 24 teams are going to be in the bracket. They're going to be in the main tournament. I'm okay with that. Because now with the money, now with NIL, now with private companies coming in and being able to fund full programs, you are able to have more teams that are good. You're going to be able to have the Indianas that come up, and now that's exciting football. So, if as long as it's competitive, I expand it to whatever you want, as long as it's competitive. Now, I really think that the NCAA tournament took a little bit of a dip this year compared to the year before, because I liked it when Arkansas and Kansas played round one. I mean, there was a lot of great round one matchups. But you're seeing now, and you're going to start seeing that in football, your quarterback play is starting to die down. How many quarterbacks now in the college ranks are even going to be great in the NFL? We're seeing a lot of, because of this moving every other year to different schools, we're going to start seeing that die down. The quality of play is going to die down. And that's where I think you're getting in a slippery slope with the football, because now it might be 12 great teams, but let's see how many years down the road that really last. So, but with basketball, you got 5 guys that start. You can roll with 8, 9 guys on a basketball squad, and you can, in return, make 30, 40, 50 teams good instead of stacking your rosters. Because, again, it's going to get to the point to where people are just going to start paying the money just to stack their rosters, because there's no salary cap. There's no salary at all on there. So, um, all in all, whether we like it or not, we have to be careful what we wish for when we want things to happen. When we think that players getting paid, which I'm all for, but yet if I want players to get paid, I've got to accept the other side of it. You got to go with the roll with the pros and the cons of it, because I know when you're asking, instead of $20 million that is going to a whole university or a whole team, or guess what? Instead of a university paying the players, they were paying that corporation to advertise for them. Now you're having to share advertising with players. Now players are becoming advertisers. So you're having to share that money. So they're going to find ways to recoup that. So we got to be able to handle that. And that's just where we are. So I see college football playoffs going to 24 teams. They've already announced that March Madness is 76 teams. Will it expand beyond that? I wouldn't be surprised. I don't think it will happen anytime soon, but you know what? I've been proven wrong before. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a quick 30-second break to hear a word from our sponsor over at Vision Exteriors. When we come back, we'll wrap it up with talk about some softball talk. They're dropping the game to Alabama today. Where they go, are they a lock for a super regional? And we'll wrap it up with baseball, and we'll talk about it right after a quick break. Looking to enhance your home's curb appeal? Look no further than Vision Exteriors. As your trusted roofing, siding, and exterior experts, we're here to transform your property. Our skilled team ensures your job is not only functional, but also aesthetically pleasing. Along with roofing, we also offer window, gutter, and siding installation to boost your home's appearance with our quality options. Visit us at www.visionexteriors.com or call us at 479-397-4770. Let's make your vision a reality. And welcome back, guys. Again, thoughts out to Adam. He's out with the sickness right now. He's been battling a terrible cold, was running a fever. He talked to me the other night, and he's just not been able to kick it. So again, we canceled the Monday show, but there was just so much that I wanted to talk about, get off my chest, and give our thoughts on to roll tonight. So thank y'all for bearing with me riding solo tonight. But now we'll go before that. Let's go patches for advertising. We'll go before we go into the softball. Patches for advertising is to help get more money. I agree. But to me, Ty, let's say also, I think it was also a fact that it was a people pleaser, because guess what? Tyson's on your patches and on your logos, but a year prior, you know what? It's almost a backhanded compliment. A year ago, Tyson and Walmart could have funded your NIL. They could have funded your athletic department, but Hunter Yurchek said no, they're not going to save your football program. And, to be honest, I don't know if we'll ever get the truth from this, but was it the fact that Walmart and Tyson didn't have faith in Sam Pittman and where the direction of the football program was? So we're not going to give money to your football program, but we're going to put money on your stadium in hopes of bringing somebody in that can win? I don't know. But at that moment, if you realize that Walmart and Tyson didn't have faith in your coach, you give me the money, I'll go get a new coach. That should have been your thought. But no, let's ride with the guy. Let's put it on the building a week later after you said that Walmart and Tyson is not there to save your football program. But let's throw it in the fans' face of, well, I didn't give it to y'all, but I'm going to give it to me. I'm going to put it on there for y'all to see instead of the players. So now we fast forward to, well, we need money. Crap. Now, guess what? You got to go back to Tyson, ask him for more money. There's only so much you can go digging in the same well. And it's low-hanging fruit. And I want to really Mr. Tyson deserves the highest honor at the University of Arkansas that you could give somebody of his stature outside of a statue, because he revived Arkansas basketball, brought in Cal. Now they have it, and they are unless, baseball turns it around and gets to Omaha, you're it now. We don't have too much faith in the football program. Baseball's taken a dip because, they're needing NIL funds, and now we have basketball. And that's okay. At least we got one. But being the proud state we are, where we're willing to stand up for our tennis program, you should be able to raise money for your football program. And that's where we're at. But we have to deal with the circumstances we are. So the patches for advertising, get it. Stadium name, look, we've beaten that. And that I will keep on bringing up because that was promised. Arkansas SI or SI Arkansas, whoever you want to call them. The other Sports Illustrated reported 2 years ago that there was supposed to have been a done deal. And I don't know if that hurt things or what, but now we're still waiting 2 years later on that. And Hunter Yurchek even said that we're close to it. We're still waiting. That's why we have such Adam and I, and there's other people. And the thing is, we're not connected. I've already said the story about what happened, where we stand in the hierarchy of the media, hierarchy of the podcast world. We're very low on it. I don't care. I'm going to keep doing it because I love what I do. That's the reason why I will be here, because I love what I do. We took a big hit because of a stance, because we ran with something a trusted media member put out there, and we went with it. We paid the price. We are the sacrificial lamb, but we're going to keep speaking. So now we're going to speak our truth. I don't care. We don't have nothing to lose, because nothing we're saying is outlandish. It's not slanderous. It's our true feelings on how everything's going at the University of Arkansas. But to sit here and not even have a name on the stadium in Arkansas is ridiculous. The stadium in Little Rock don't even play a team has a name on it. I mean, how is that? The stadium with no name. Now, Simmons Bank Arena doesn't even have a team that plays in it, has a name. So, I mean, it is what it is. Enough of the dead horse. I just really wanted to, yes, both golf programs. Look, golf teams, man, those secondary teams, the track program, I keep on going down rabbit holes, but when I started back in 2019 doing this, I take pride in those tennis programs, those golf programs, women's basketball, because that's where I started. I started because I covered the programs that nobody else was. I was there at Courtney Neifel game when they were giving away tickets to now sell out stadiums. I was interviewing Colby Hale and Watson and Shauna Estes Taylor. I was interviewing them and talking about those programs when it was me, Paul Boyd, Pig Trail Nation. And then when Ethan came on the ranks, and the torch was passed between Paul Boyd and Ethan Westerman. Now Ethan is doing an amazing job. That's where I'm happy that, yes, what happened to me, but yet I know that there's still somebody there that covers the women's programs and put as much. And I'll tell you what, he puts as much heart in as I did. I was working a job. I can say it now because I no longer work there, but I was working a job where I would park my work vehicle, change out of my work clothes into interview clothes, and go cover a basketball game or go cover a softball game, get back into my work vehicle, and then go back to work, or do an interview with Coach Deifel or an interview with Coach Neighbors when he was here. Covered a whole SEC tournament when it was at Bogle Park, and still worked a full-time job when doing it. I did a lot of freaking interviews back before we had video podcasts of where I was doing it audio, and I was in my work vehicle interviewing Coach Deifel. So there's a lot of the backstory when I do get upset and I do get heated. And I'm saying this now because Adam's not here. He's heard it over and over, and I'm sure that I get on his nerves about it. But there was a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and a lot of angst that came with what I did for 4 years before I even joined the Hawg Talk or even had this thing on my own to where me and Adam was rolling. So I take pride in that. It is personal to me because I was there. I was there in the trenches. I was there speaking on the programs that hardly anybody was. And I know because of the importance of it. I'm not saying that more people should have. I understand how it works. But I'm just going to tell y'all right now, with one stroke of a push of a button, everything was freaking taken away. It was taken away without any explanation of how I got the source, what I got the source. But yet, 6 months prior to that, I was told by Carl Parkinson I would never cover football, basketball, baseball because I am a podcaster. That's what I was told face to face at a softball game. And then I had to answer to him when we put out that tweet about Sam Pittman being fired. And I got an email that I no longer was getting emails for press conferences. So there's a reason why I got very upset. And I'm sorry. It's 4 years ago. I still hold it dear because I was very upset. And the fact that another thing I got upset about is people, not one damn person in the media stood up for me and said he got that from Otis. Otis said that. I didn't lie and just pull that out of thin air. But not one person that knew the truth stood up for me, and they just let me get all my shit taken away from me. And now we're sitting where we are. So yeah, I will always be bitter about that, but it's going to make me strive to be better at what I'm going to do in the future. And it's going to make me tell the truth because I don't care, because I tried to play Mr. Nice Guy. I tried to do things the way that they wanted things done at the U of A, because in hopes of maybe one day being up there with the big boys and covering the football, basketball, and baseball programs, and to be told that you were never going to do that because you're a podcaster. Try to prove them wrong, but I'm just saying one wrong move can have everything stripped away from you. And that's what happened. But I will keep on praising the teams, like you said, the golf teams and the softball teams and the soccer teams, because that's where I got started. That's why it was so hard when Coach Neighbors got fired, and I had to sit there and say that I didn't think he should be the coach anymore because I wasn't seeing it was working out. That was a hard deal to do because he's the one that let me get in the door. He was the one that let me start coming to games. He believed in me. Coach Deifel believed in me. Colby Hale did. I've had him on numerous times. So I know I went on a rant, but there's a lot of things that y'all see us do, and I know we're not as good as the others. We don't have the time to put into the people who work, this is their full-time job. They put everything all day and everything into it, and you can tell. But I give everything I can. And I did for a very long time. And when all that was taken away, that was one of we didn't show it. Me and Adam didn't show it on here. We just kept it trucking. But there for about 3-4 months, that was a very, very dark time for me because I've had passion for that for years, and for have that taken away from me without being able to state my case or even hear me. It was shitty, and I'll never forget it. But that's what makes me still to this day do what I do. Because I do it because I love it. I love covering the University of Arkansas. I love covering high school sports. I love talking about the softball program. I love what Courtney Deifel's doing. I cannot wait for the day she finally gets to Oklahoma City. And that could happen this year. Could very well happen this year. They got the pitching staff to do it. Finally. You go back to Autumn Storms. There's always been a year where a pitcher's been hurt or something. They have the lineup, but they don't have the pitching. Now they have it both. Yeah, they run into a buzzsaw this year. Alabama's back on track. You're fighting the juggernaut in OU. You found a way to beat Texas. You got to find a way to do it in the super regionals. They lost 7-1 today. Robin Heron went on her best game. I mean, just you got it some days and you don't. But Burnham pitching the way she's doing really sets up Arkansas very well to win a regional, host a super, and to win out. So very proud of that program. Very proud of what they're doing. Again, they fell 7-1 today. They will await their fate to see where they land. I think they've done enough in the national media's eyes to earn a super regional spot, super regional berth. And that will be awesome. I think that's going to be good for them. Because I'm telling you, Colby Hale deserves a national championship with women's soccer. Courtney Deifel. I mean, if anybody deserves anything more than one coach in any spot, Coach Deifel deserves a trip to Oklahoma City. The nicest person in the world, the best coach. She could coach you and be really true with you, but yet love you at the same time. And I've seen that program. I mean, 2018, 2019, seen the growth of that. So that's why, again, and that's what me and Adam linked up on. We both liked the same stuff. I was going through a change at host and needed somebody, and me and Adam linked up. And you see what we have now, 3 years later. We both love the same sports. So I want to see Courtney Deifel get to Oklahoma City. I want to see more women's sports get NIL help. It costs you your bat. You want to talk about ruining a program? You cut your tennis program, but it costs you a great coach at your women's basketball program. You had something rolling with Chelsea Dungy, NIL, and then you had people that were able to get some NIL, and then there was a lot who weren't able to, and they went elsewhere they could. They done what was best for them to get money, and they weren't getting the support. There's a lot of programs that are not getting NIL support at all at the University of Arkansas, and that's why we're so passionate about it, because we want them to get the support. And until that changes, that's why we wanted the raffle. We wanted Carlton Safa at Bet Saracen to do the raffle because we knew what it could be. And with everything, you could have a Texas Tech, you could have an Indiana where you're good at multiple sports. So, again, lost today, and then baseball, big series this weekend coming up against OU. They got 2 series left. They'll play tomorrow night. Game time has changed. 4 p.m. It was set for 6, but they're expecting some bad weather, so they changed the time to 4 p.m. Hunter Dietz will start game 1. He has a 6. He's 6-2 with a 3.34 ERA. 3.43. Sorry, dyslexia there for a second. Then Cameron Johnson will start, or to be announced, for Arkansas the next 2 games. So Hunter Dietz is to be announced for OU on their starter for game 1, but then they have Cameron Johnson starting game 2, and then Cord Rager. That's a crazy name after that rant I went on. Cord Rager, 3-3 with a 5.10 ERA. Thoughts on the baseball team? Man, it's been a weird year, and I'm going to go like some of the people when it comes to the tennis thing. I went to the baseball game. I've not followed it as heavy as some. I've said my thoughts on my boy Kevin Bohannon, his frustrations, Andrew Ellis, the 2 guys that I really watch and I really listen to what they say when it comes to the baseball program and their frustrations. So this team could very well turn it around. Do I think it's too late for a super regional? Yeah. But as much crap as I've kind of given them, it's our expectations that sometimes, and this is me personally, I mean, sometimes my expectations are unfair of they don't have the big stars like they used to. And I'm just expecting them to be grateful for what they have. You're playing in Arkansas. You have all this and this and this. But in the grand scheme of it, this team's never giving up. They're turning things around. And when you count them out, what do? They win. We counted them out, and I'll say we counted them out, and then they turn around and, yeah, you lost a game 6-1 against Missouri, but you won the series. Then you turn around and beat Ole Miss. So it's one of those things that, and well, I'll bring up the Wiggins thing. I don't know much about it, and look, it's to me speculation. It's one of the things where, listen, there is a lot of money in baseball. Baseball is a different animal. Where's Kevin Kopps at right now? Where's Hagen Smith at right now? Were these guys that gave it all 4 years? Were these guys that killed it at Arkansas? It is a hard road when it comes to baseball. I'm a firm believer of thick and thin, but man, for every rule, there's an exception. You don't have the luxury of just jumping onto an NFL roster. You don't have the luxury of just jumping onto an NBA roster and making millions of dollars. Unless you're in a freaking anomaly like Paul Skeens. Your Golden Spikes Award winner and best pitcher that Arkansas has ever had does not have a job. But a lot of that was because of his age and 24, and we seen it, but we glossed over that because of how good he was for Arkansas. And sometimes we do get selfish in that aspect of we seen what he was doing, but then in a blink of an eye, you see what happened against North Carolina State and everything fell off. But he was still the best player in the country that year. But now he's looking to get on a roster. Hagen Smith, he's earning his way up. But if you look at all the stars that Arkansas has produced in the baseball and then go, you can look on the wall and see where they're at in the major leagues. But where they at on a major league roster and making a difference? That's the difference. So I when it comes to Wiggins and this 100% doctor won't release him, David, I can't blame him because the fact that what are you going to do? You're going to ride this out and then you're going to go ride a bus in the minor leagues making 40, 50,000 a year or whatever. You might get $1 million signing bonus or a $3 million signing bonus at your slot value, but it takes you 4 years to get there. Then that $2 million turns into 400,000 a year. And then let's just take, the taxes and everything. It's minuscule to what you think they're really getting, agent fees and all that stuff. So I don't blame him. That's the one sport that I'll give everybody a pass because it is so damn hard to get to the pro level in baseball. And you brought up another good point. There's so many. It's almost like basketball too. There's a lot of foreign players, a lot of nation or worldwide players that look at the World Baseball Classic. Look at the All-Star game in basketball this year, USA versus the world. It's a whole different animal this year. So we really want them to turn it around because guess what? You got OU, then Kentucky, and then SEC tournament. What better way to spring the fandom into football season by making it the super regional and making it Omaha? They've done it before when we were talking about the last time they lost 20 games. They made it to the World Series. So it's not over yet. It's just you got to hold the team to a certain standard if they are a certain standard. It's the way it is. So, and then Ryan Silverfield, it's one of them things where you want him to do well, but I don't know if he's just already accepted defeat on this season, which again, I don't blame him, but he's saying a lot of the wrong things about when it comes to you're supposed to be an SEC program. He wants to be the team. I can't remember. I had it up here. Let me pull it up real quick on the tweet that I was talking about. He's talking about they might not beat Utah, but they're going to be the most resilient team, or I can't remember exactly what he was talking about, but it was just, it didn't sit well with me on, are you accepting defeat? Are you accepting the fact that you don't think you're going to have a big program? Topping it in right now to see. Okay. It says, I don't know where we line up, how we even match up against Utah. I don't know how we match up with Georgia in our first SEC game from a talent standpoint, but let's be the best in country in controllables, attitude, effort, talent, and discipline. I get it, but to me, it's like you see what you have and you're trying to make something positive out of it. Okay, cool. But prove it first and then let's go with that route. Because this is probably one of the, I don't know, this is sad I'm saying it, but where would you rank this right now where we're at as the lowest points of Razorback football? I'm not saying it is. I'm not going to be prisoner of the moment and say it is, but where would you rank this? Where would you rank Arkansas right now, football program wise, as how deep in the basement are they? How How deep in the cellar are they? And now with the era of NIL, college football expansion, and OU and Texas in the league, transfer portal, lack of NIL, are you in the cellar and the door slammed shut, or is there a way to get out of it? And we'll find out. I wish nothing but the best with Ryan Silverfield and this team. He was crazy. Where I work at now, he was actually in the same building for the Boys and Girls Club there in Fort Smith. Heard nothing but nice things about him. So I'm rooting for him. And that's why I give him a pass. There's going to be no expectations, and I'm not going to be petty about it. I'm going to show him a lot of grace because he does have an uphill battle to climb, but there's just things that he says that I wish he wouldn't. I wish he would really take this with a more strong suit of, we are going to win. We're going to do this. Then we would have less people out there trying to sunshine pump and try to say we're going 6-6. I'm sorry. Love you, Ryan. Looking at his picture, but it's not going to happen. And for people to sit there and just throw out blasphemy like it's really going to happen, all that does is, we know you're lying. We know what your narrative is. We know you're being the sunshine pumpers. You want us to click on your stupid articles. We're not going 6-6. It's not going to happen. But I'm not going to sit there and be mad at the guy if we go 4. I don't care if we win 3 games, 2 games. I'm not going to be mad at Ryan Silverfield if he wins 2 games this year. Just not going to do it because that's my expectations. Because he's got a big hill to climb. So we got to give him grace. We got to give him time to get in here and do his thing, build a staff, then build his players and see what he can do. So before we go, I promised my wife 30 minutes, and here I am 58 minutes later. So I apologize to her on that. But before we go, I'm proud to announce I'm going to get back in the high school ranks, cover the River Valley sports. I live in Ozark. Kids go to Ozark. Going to be covering the Hillbillies Residents News Network. Linked up with them, and I'm going to be covering a lot of River Valley sports. So if you see my name pop up, you see any coaches out there, I'm going to be hitting you up, be writing articles, talking about some exciting high school sports in the River Valley in Arkansas. So really looking forward to that. I want to thank everybody at Resident News Network for giving me the opportunity to get back in the high school game. I'm looking forward to it. It'll give me a lot to do during my night shifts at work. So really want to appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. I really want to appreciate everybody for bearing with me on this and riding solo. Adam will be back Monday. He'll probably be back Sunday. Hawg HQ Live. Want to thank all of our supporters, all of our sponsors, again, that have stuck with us for the past 6-7 years. That's believed in us. There's a lot of the small town people that I count on, that I will always love and cherish the fact that they believe in us for bringing everybody the content every week. So I got to stay true to them, stay true to our listeners, stay true to everybody else. But I'm really looking forward to starting the high school stuff. So I'll be sharing that, be talking about that. And me and Adam will be sharing some high school stuff in the meantime. So I'm out. Porter Hayes here. Want to thank everybody for tuning in again. And we'll be back on Monday, but do not forget to tune in to Hawg HQ Live Sunday 6:05. We'll come to you Monday at 8:05, and we'll catch you on Monday.